Get ready for candid conversations that embrace the unfiltered truth of our lives. In this space, we celebrate the unity found in our shared human experience. Join me as we explore the depths of our stories, invoking empathy and facilitating the healing we all yearn for. This is Pages of Me podcast, where authenticity is our compass and the unfiltered truth sets us all free. Welcome to another episode of Pages of Me podcast, Election Edition. I'm your host, Kezia, and today we have with us Marianne Meed Ward. Yay!
Here.
In this conversation, we'll go beyond the title of mayor to talk about experiences, lessons, and values, defining moments that have shaped her leadership, as well as her vision for a growing and changing Burlington. Mayor Marianne Meed Ward, thank you for joining me today on Pages of Me podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you could make it. And so, like I said, we're just going on beyond the campaign, beyond the platforms, and just really getting to know the person behind the campaign, asking for residents' votes. Mm-hmm. So I read a little bit about you through an interview, and I saw that we have some things in common. You were drawn towards writing and journalism because you didn't really like math and science. Yes. So same. And it's crazy that my son is like so great at math. He can do mental math, but like that was like not my thing. So
same with my kids. They're all in math and science.
It's so funny. We're not that great at it, but we birth it. Yeah. So I also gravitated towards storytelling. So I immediately related to that. Tell me about the young Marianne, like when you were back in your childhood, teenage years, experiences that you feel like shaped who you are today.
Mm-hmm. I was always a big reader, so a bit of an introvert, which is, people find that really hard to believe when they see me now, but I was an introvert. I was quiet. I read a lot, which, of course, comes in handy when you want to be a writer.
Yes. Reading
and writing go together, and so I wrote stories. I wrote in a journal, nonfiction mostly. One of my first stories was about a sailor who fortunately died at the end of my story. Kept it real.
Yeah.
Kept it real. I was also very interested in the arts. I've always been interested in that and did dramatic arts at my high school, public school, church. Been in lots of musicals.
You can sing?
Well, yes, I can.
I really knew about you.
Yeah, I took lessons eventually. And in the operatic style. So I have sung in German and French.
Wow.
And I can sing pop songs. And actually recently it was really fun. I was on a couple of weeks ago, I was on a Canada Day tour and the sound system wasn't working. And so we had to sing O Canada. And so I got a chance to sing O Canada.
That's beautiful.
With all these folks, which was wonderful. So, but all of that experience, I think, walking the stage, learning how to memorize lines, learning how to just be in front of people and not be afraid of that. And that's scary for a lot of people. Sometimes I get nervous, too. Before I have to do a big speech, you want to do a good job.
Yeah.
And so you just ground yourself in, what message is important for people, what did they come here to learn about, and you just try to deliver that for the community. So that experience and training has certainly helped me in my public speaking, which I do a lot of, writing, which I do a lot of still, the newsletter that goes out every month, the social media posts. I do a lot of my own writing still, so.
Oh, okay. So you're not like one of the politicians that have like their EAs or anything. Like this is like your words that you're speaking on a regular basis.
I do have help, but I review everything before it goes out, and I do write a lot of it myself. So
yeah.
It's a team effort.
I love teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, it really does.
So I have this belief that all here on earth to like grow through our lived experiences, and life has a way of like bringing back the same lesson in a different form until we finally like learn it. What's a lesson that took you maybe a long time to understand, but once it finally clicked, you felt like you unlocked a new version of yourself?
I would I would say that I was born with the helping gene. I've always wanted to help people, and that's why I went into journalism, is to give voice to people, to hold power to account.
Yes.
All of that. And the same drive really propelled me into elected office, where when I first ran, people felt they didn't know what was happening at City Hall until after decisions were made. I felt, well, I can create a newsletter and a website. This is going back a long way before social media really ramped up.
Yeah.
And felt that I could give people a voice that way, and feel that I have done that. The challenge is you can't do everything.
Yes.
Right? So being a helper and stepping into spaces that are really for other levels of government to solve, for other people to solve, you end up taking it all on. And I've had to learn to encourage people to actually do their job, not do it for them.
Yeah.
So you can be a really powerful voice, and so the advocacy part of what I do has become hugely significant. And I would say I learned that through COVID.
Okay.
The other lesson I learned was, I'm a peacemaker. I'm a middle child, so I like to help. I like everybody to get along. I'm very much about diplomacy, about finding commonalities, about finding where we can agree. But the challenge of that sometimes is that you can lose your own voice. And one of the best lessons for me came during COVID, where you really wanted to make sure that people felt confident in their elected leaders, in their decision makers. It wouldn't serve people to have us all being, fighting amongst each other or finger pointing. They wanted us to work together to solve things. But there were times when the community's best interests were to actually say, we don't agree with this, and we're advocating that the province or the federal government change this or do more or something. And through that process, and it was a difficult one. There were times when I felt I went along, and then you quickly learn that that's not the right thing, and you change. And so throughout my career post-COVID, throughout my service to residents, I've really thought about that lesson. When is it time to stand firm?
Yeah.
And when is it time to find common ground and compromise? And those decisions are very difficult ones. Those are, that discernment, that judgment, that comes from years of experience, some mistakes along the way, some things you would do differently if you could, but you learn all of that. I don't believe that failure is a bad thing. I don't believe that mistakes are a bad thing. I think what is incumbent on us is to learn from those things.
Learning from it, yes.
So all of that desire to be helpful, that desire to be a peacemaker, which is really in my DNA, it also has to be tempered with, there are times when you have to stand up and fight, and I certainly can and have done that, and that was the part of me that wanted to be a journalist, wanted to be an elected official in the first place, is to go to bat for my community and for people that didn't have a voice.
Yeah, and I think that what you talked about of finding the discernment, because it's like, you want to be able to get along, and it's easier to hear the voices in the room when you're not trying to speak over each other or being combative. It's easier to hear and understand, but then also you have to find that balance and that discernment of when it's time, like you said, to stand firm. And so do you feel like it took you a long time to get there? You had to build up a certain amount of confidence in yourself, or some internal work that you had to do to be okay, I can find the balance between going with what, the group thought, or I need to find, this is the time where I have to actually stand firm and, go against the group thought, go against the grain, because I think that this decision will be best for residents.
It is, in many respects, it's a decision by decision, but if you lean into what you value, what you're about, and I always come back to what my values are, is how do I serve community? Who is going to benefit or who's going to hurt with this decision? How can we do the best that we can for our community, make things better? So if you keep that as your North Star, is always about, and then listening to people. You always have to keep your mind open to new information, and that is something that I do. I listen very deeply to people, and I'll say, I don't think the way you do, but but try to, convince me. Like, tell me why you think this
Yeah.
way. And I really will listen with an open mind. And sometimes at the end of that, I say, no, I'm still where I'm at, but we've at least had a conversation and a dialogue. And sometimes I do get persuaded, or I say, well, I don't fully go with what you're saying, but I think there's some things that I need to change about my thinking too. And I think that's a really important part of any kind of community service.
Yes.
But certainly that takes courage, actually, as an elected official, to say, I've changed my mind or I've changed my approach in my thinking because of new information, because of experiences that I've had. It really takes courage to admit that and to go with that. But I think that makes for better leaders, better elected officials, because none of us are perfect, and none of us are perfect in perpetuity. And
or
we should
have
grow.
all the lived experiences. Like, there may be
Right.
lived experiences that residents have that some people will never, elected officials will never have. So being able to broaden your perspective and listen to their lived experiences, I think is super important as well. So I agree with you. I love that. I love that answer. Okay, so one thing I've noticed, and we've talked about this, especially with elect respect, that people often have strong opinions about politicians, especially women. We've seen that Olivia Chow, the mayor of Toronto, has been called the dancing mayor by some critics. Sometimes it feels like showing up at community events, people are saying you're everywhere just taking pictures, but if you don't show up, they're like, why are you not there? Showing up, supporting the community. As someone who spent years in public office, what do you wish residents understood better about the day-to-day reality of being a mayor and municipal government?
I believe that those being present in community, the vast majority of people are so appreciative of it, because they see it as a sign of legitimacy, of respect for what they are trying to do, and they recognize that the mayor can't be everywhere. I sometimes get invited to 2 or 3 things at the same time. I do try to stagger and go to as many as I can, but that was one of the things that I learned as a mayor, because you get invited to far more events or causes or, really important things in community than I ever did as a councillor, that any councillor would get. You're seen as the leader of the city. You're seen actually as somebody who represents what the city values. And that is something that I learned as the mayor. It's not me, it's the title representing the city. So when I go as the mayor to an event, I am saying the city cares about this event. The city cares about you. The city wants to recognize and promote the great work that you're doing. When we do flag raisings, it's the same thing. When we do proclamations, when I physically am able to be at an event or I send remarks to an event, that's what the vast majority of people have said. People in tears saying it was so important, and until you became mayor, our cause or our event or what we care about was not recognized, and now it is. And it's actually draws people to their cause. So people will tell me that after a post, they get an uptick in people finding out about them, looking into, learning about, and that's what it is all about. And the other thing that I would say is that the negative voices on social media are not reflective of how the majority of people in our community feel.
I agree.
And that is another lesson that I have learned over the years, that helps me to keep it in balance, right?
Yes.
I get lots of not just negativity, up to and including, as you know, death threats and having to have extra security and all of that. But that's a tiny fraction of the population. And even the critical voices is a small number compared to the people that are really happy and really feel that it's important for the mayor to be in community. That's what I hear when I get out in community and when I talk to people and I look at them in the eye, so they're not sitting behind an anonymous keyboard.
Exactly.
They are saying it matters so much that you take the time to be with us and to say that this is important, and not just to me, but I represent the city when I go there. So this is important to the city. So, that's how I keep everything in balance. And when you know, as I do, that my motives are to make the community better, that I value people coming together, supporting the good work that people do. The criticism just doesn't matter.
It just like rolls off because like you know the impact that you are having.
Absolutely.
And I think also people need to remember that as mayor, you're working like 12 to 16 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So them seeing like a 2-hour portion of your day of like shaking hands or cutting ribbons does not speak to the very intense day that I remember you were like, I'm here at City Hall at 7 a.m. And I'm like, 7 a.m.? Yes. Like, and you're still at events at 7 p.m.? Like, that's 12. 9 or 10. Yeah, exactly. That's like over 12 hours. So I think that people also need to remember that as well, that your schedule is so vast and it's longer than maybe the average work person's day, so that you do have time to like engage with community, but then you're in your office reading, writing, motions, doing all the things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to a little bit about me. I think I told you this before, but I've been living in Burlington for 13 years now. This June was the 13th year. When I first moved here, I found myself driving back to Toronto to like visit friends, family, attend events, like groups or whatever it may be. Like I was even part of like a mom group in Mississauga when I first had my son, because I didn't always feel like Burlington reflected kind of like who I was as a person at the time. Especially like raising a Black son, I was like, oh, like I need him to understand like our Caribbean culture. So you've spoken a lot about protecting Burlington's quality of life. Mm-hmm. So as the city grows and becomes more diverse, how do you ensure that vision includes people who have not always felt fully seen or represented, or feel connected to the city here? Like how can you kind of like help be the change for that?
I think it goes to what we were just talking about, is being present in community at different events, different community groups. For example, there was the city's first ever halal food festival at LaSalle Park. We were the first community in the world, I'm told, to acknowledge Emancipation Day, which is coming up in a couple of days. Yes. So supporting all of the diverse cultures. Of course, our founding, not our founding, the people that were here before us, our Indigenous residents, that we want to acknowledge that. And I established the Indigenous Advisory Circle. Yes. They were instrumental in many good things in the community, but one of the ones I'm proudest of that they did, they envisioned, they built it, they designed it, the Sweetgrass Park ceremonial fire and the interpretive plaques were all from Indigenous residents who live right here in Burlington. When last term of council, when George Floyd was murdered in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, my mother's from there, my grandmother was from there. I know people who live there who were deeply affected by this. We had the march in Burlington. We had someone do a special mural. I was part of that on the streets of our city, like a temporary art installation. So, and then at that time, reached out to members of the Black community in Burlington, to especially young people, to say, tell me what your experience is. I want to learn. I want to know what it feels like to live in a pretty homogenous community at that time, and just sat with people and heard their stories. And there were some really challenging stories of racism, of targeting. And that's part of my learning as the mayor, is to say, how can I do something to change that and make that better for people? And part of it is to say to our entire community, everyone is welcome here. Everyone has always been welcome here. And we will do whatever we can to continue to send that message. So from the symbolic proclamations, flag raisings, we're celebrating Black Caribbean Music Month this month, and in another week or two. We acknowledge many different cultures in this community, languages. I was talking to somebody yesterday who always loves coming to our Franco-Ontarian Day. I read the proclamation in French.
Yes. You speak French?
Yeah, I've lost a lot of it, but I did speak a lot of French when I lived in Ottawa. So, and I'd like to get it back, but it has been a huge learning for me as the mayor to see how important those acknowledgments, recognitions, being present, saying that that everyone is welcome, that I'm here to listen, that I'm an accessible mayor. People can call me, people can ask for a meeting. I do drop-ins where people can just walk by with no appointment and talk to me and share what's on their mind. And that is critically important to stay connected to community, because what's real is what's in community. It's not so much what's online that's not reflective. And you need to, not be in your office at City Hall if you want to know about community. So I'm out in community most of the time, and that's where I want to be.
I love that. And that's where you actually get to hear the true voices, like you said, and it's no one behind like a computer making something up, but actually like someone telling you their story, their lived experience of, their time here in Burlington. Okay, so we're getting close to like the last questions. When you think back on, or I guess I should say, when people think back on interactions with you, whether it was like a quick conversation or a community event, what do you hope that they remember about how you made them feel?
Welcome, heard, supported. People will often tell me that I'm compassionate. They see me as very authentic, very real. What you see is what you get. And when I'm very caring of people. So that's what I want. That's what's always been my North Star, helping people, letting people know that they have a voice, that they matter, that what they feel and think and say matters. And even if at the end of the day we have different thoughts about things, that's okay, as long as we have tried to connect, we've tried to hear each other out and done it in a respectful way. And that's really what the Elect Respect movement is all about, is we can debate issues and how best to solve them. That is perfectly legitimate. What is out of bounds is personal attacks, misinformation, which we do see, unfortunately, on this campaign trail. We see it online,
already?
Already. Yeah. So, but I'm really glad. You know what? I encourage people to reach out. If anything seems odd, reach out, because it probably isn't true. And I have had people say, is this true? Is that true? And in most cases, it's not. And so people do have a good instinct about things that just don't sound right, and I'm always appreciative when people reach out so that I can dispel a lot of that misinformation that's being spread.
That's good. And I'm like, strange that people would be just like putting out false information out there. So I also have a belief that everybody in this world has more in common than differences.
Absolutely.
It's literally like, I just feel like even all 8 billion of us have more in common than differences. So when residents see you as like the mayor, they may feel like there's like a distance there. What's something about you and your life experience that you think that would surprise people about you and just make them feel a little bit more connected to you as like the person?
For the first couple of years of my life, we lived on the west coast of California. My dad's Canadian. He was a park ranger, married my mom, who was an American, and we Yosemite was one of the parks we lived in. My mom taught me English on flashcards, driving around in a camper. Where other kids were playing hockey on the road and they'd say car, and you'd have to get out of the way. We'd be outside playing, and my mom would shout bear, and we'd have to run in and wait for the bear to decide it couldn't get the garbage open, and we'd sit and watch him as like watching TV, and then eventually the bear would wander off. And so nature has always been a huge part of me. It's one of the things I love about Burlington. You can be in nature within minutes from almost anywhere in the city. The conservation areas, the trails, the parks that we have, our incredible waterfront. So I grew up in a very regular household. We always rented, our homes, lived in a semi-detached in various places, moved around a lot for work. So that taught me that, because I've been in different communities, it gave me two things. One is I have an intense curiosity of any new place that I live in. I want to learn about it, and I want to support the history of the place and the people who came before me. So I've always been a huge heritage person. And in some cases, I know more about Burlington than people who've lived here for generations.
Really?
Yeah. But that, and just that people are very similar. So all the different cities that I've lived in, places that I've visited, people that I've met, and of course, as mayor, you meet thousands of people in different communities, in different countries, that we are very much, we have much more in common than what divides us. And that's what I try to lean into and draw out of people, to find that common ground to do good things together. So.
Yeah, I feel like we have so much in common. Like I was born in Montreal, but I don't speak any French. But yeah, I feel like our parents migrated here all over. Okay, so if this was a book, your life was a book, what chapter, what would be the title of the chapter that you're in right now? Or if you were to describe it as like a trending era, what would you call the era that you're in right now of your life? And why?
That's a really good question. I would say this is in my reflective and get things done era. So I've always been somebody who wants to get things done. I just kind of head down, keep moving forward, do things, and then 5-10 years can go by. And the reflective piece is really, really important. And I took some extra time this time before just putting my name on a ballot to determine, is this the best way that I can serve community? I know that there are many ways that anybody of us can serve, through writing, through teaching, mentoring, speaking. Mm-hmm. I do have a book in me, so I will write one day.
I can't wait to read it.
Yes. So I took some time to say, I don't want to just automatically put my name on a ballot because I love what I do and it's what I know how to do, and I think people were encouraging me to run for sure. And for the first time, I think in my life, I took a really long period of time to determine, several months. I know there were a lot of rumors that got started during that period. They're not true. But I talked to my family, of course, mm-hmm. trusted advisors, talked to my staff, talked to people in community about how I could best serve. And having done that deep reflective work around truly what does the city need, and is there still a role for me to advance what the city needs? And mm-hmm. having gone through that deeply reflective process, the answer is yes. And I will say that I've come out stronger and more energized having done that than if I had just
ran into it, rushed into the process.
Rushed into it. I'm doing this. I'll put my name on a ballot, and we'll see what we see. So I have really learned the value of pausing. I don't pause very often. I get up. I go all day. I love achieving anything I can in a day, from getting a burnt-out streetlight fixed to getting a supportive housing development approved in our community, and mm-hmm. everything in between. And I don't sit still very often. And so this was unusual and difficult for me to pause.
Well, I'm glad that you did it.
I'm very good. Yes, it was. And so then when the negativity of the campaign comes and you start to see, unfortunately, the misinformation and some of those things which are really hard to, I don't know why people do that, but it's there. Yeah. And you're stronger to face that. I'm stronger to face that. And when I'm out talking to people, actually there's a lot of relief in the community. People were like, oh, I was worried there. You didn't announce for a long time. And I tell them that story, and they feel really relieved, because most people understand that elected office is tough.
It's very tough.
You make a lot of sacrifices.
I can never do what you got. Never.
Right.
I don't even want to.
And I hear that from a lot of people.
I would not choose this for myself.
I say that to our first responders all the time. Like, I could never go into a burning building.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, you just respect like the skill level, it's necessary, but you're like, I'm not like one of those people that are like watching the Olympics or FIFA World Cup and be like, I can do that. Like, I know that this is like a talented skill that this person has that they've worked really hard for, and that's why they're able to like achieve and be in that position.
Yeah, and you want people. What has been actually really lovely is people saying, "Oh, I'm really glad you like it. I'm glad you took the time, and I'm glad that you are convinced that this is right, because we know the sacrifices, we know that it's difficult, and we want to make sure that you are, all in." And I am all in. I always have been, but I think it's that period of reflection was really important, and that just goes to that. It makes me steady. Right,
it kept us guessing. It kept us guessing. But I think also, last election you had like a 76% approval rate.
78, yeah.
78% approval rate. So it's just, awesome. I can understand like, taking that time just to like have that reflection, but it's also at the same time, it's like you had so much support behind you always. And like, I used to say like, oh, this is the Marianne Meed cult. Like they're all like following, not like in a bad way, but they're all, looking up to you, following you. You have a lot of love in this city. Yeah. So I think that when people were like, oh, she's not announcing, they were getting worried and scared because they're like, we've come comfortable with you. You've represented our city really well. 2025, a mayor of, what was it, best mayor?
Best Canadian mayor.
Best Canadian
across
mayor.
Canada, and that's chosen by the editors of Municipal World. So you can't apply for it. Nobody nominates you. They look at the work you're doing and decide who they think the best mayor in the country is. So I was surprised too.
But congratulations, it's amazing. So I think that, like with all this great traction and momentum that you had, like almost like pausing in the middle of a race, people are like, what are they doing? Yeah. But, there's this card that says, dance where other people are running. And I feel like you were like taking your time just to like, while other people are running to finish to the end, like you're going with a different energy to the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that I've chosen solidly after deep reflection, and that's really how it should be every single election for everyone, and not something that is, well, I don't like what I'm doing right now, so I'm going to try this. It has to be something that you choose positively for yourself and your community.
And any last words that you would like to say to Burlington residents?
Well, I just want to thank them always for showing up for each other. We have an incredibly compassionate community. I see that every day when I go out, people turning some of the most tragic periods of their life, whether that's health related or accidents or crime, people turning all of that into something positive to serve other people, giving anything that they can. And that we have such a generous, compassionate community, and I want to reflect that in everything that I do and support that.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Marianne Meed Ward, and we're looking forward to seeing more of you on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Kezia.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Pages of Me podcast. If today's conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with someone who would enjoy it. Remember, every person has a story beyond the headlines, beyond the titles, beyond what people see on the surface. On Pages of Me podcast, we're turning those pages one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Kezia. Thank you for spending this time with me. And until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep discovering the stories that connect us. Take care.